My friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Sayed Kazmi, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about something different. A couple of years back, when I used to work in Pakistan, I also used to teach the students of Masters in Public Health. And one of my favorite subjects that I used to taught at the postgraduate level was public policy. And recently, when I was reorganizing my YouTube channel, a few of my past students, they contacted me and they requested me to make a series of lectures on public policy. So I thought to myself that this is the best time to make a few lectures on the introductory concepts in public policy making within the context of health policy making. So this is going to be my first lecture in which I will be talking about the very basic definitions and the process of public policy making. So without further ado, let's start our today's topic, which is public policy. Now, let's start with the definition of public policy. Uh, Policy is defined in many different ways. If you go and open up different textbooks of public policy, you will find different definitions. Even if you go and open up the dictionary, you will see many different definitions. Some people say it's a broad set of guidelines which dictates the future course of action by the governments, by the societies, by the communities, even by the what we call as a non-for-profit sector or NGO sector. So there are different types of definitions which different people use in different contexts. The definition that I like, and I think which is the most comprehensive definition of public policy, is the one that I'm going to show you right now. And that definition is that it is a course of action or inaction by the governments in response to public problems. Now, this is a short but a very comprehensive definition. They have tried to squeeze the whole ocean within these two, three sentences. And let's dissect this definition word by word, and that would make you understand what is actually a policy making. And we'll take a few examples from the health sector as well. So, the first word is course. So, what does a course mean? Course means that it is a cycle. It's not one action or a few discrete actions that you take and you stop. A course means that it is a cycle. It is a set of actions and reactions which are tuned on the basis of results that you get. So, a course of action. Action means there are certain things which have to be done, certain decisions that have to be taken. And this action could be anything. This could be legislation, this could be organization, this could be what you call expenditures in the terms of financial allocations for different programs. So it simply means a broad set of different things that can be done in order to achieve an objective. So course means it's a cycle. Action means that this is a broad set of things that can be done, right, starting from the legislation down to organization and programming, or inaction as well. Sometimes not doing anything is also an action. Sometimes simply not taking an sort of action or doing something in response to a problem or anticipating something, that also constitutes your action. So it is either doing something or not doing anything. By whom? By the governments. Now, when we talk about public policy, this is usually done by the governments. Though policy can be organizational policy as well, like, for example, a private hospital makes its own policy that can be made by its board of governors. Similarly, if it's a sort of an industrial factory or something like that, its board of directors or board of governors can make its own policy. But when we talk about public policy, because public policy means what? Public is defined as large number of people, large number of, or in other words, it's a group of societies, communities. So a course of action or inaction by the government. So whether this is a state government, whether this is a provincial government, whether this is a federal government, whether this is a provincial government, whatever, but it's at the government level. And this action or inaction is taken in response to public problem. So it is reactive in nature. When we say response, it means it's reactive in nature. There is something and the action or in response to that, or inaction is in response to that. That doesn't mean that a policy cannot be proactive. But the problem with proactive policy is when when you are anticipating something, is that sometimes what you are anticipating could be wrong as well. So in most of the cases, the policy for practical reasons is usually reactive in nature. So it is in response to public problems. And what is a problem? In very simple words, a problem is a discrepancy between an desired state of affairs and actual state of affairs. So let's say you desire that 90% of the public should have access to healthcare services, but let's say only 75% they actually get. So the desired is 90, the actual is 75. So you have a problem. Why? Because there is a discrepancy between the actual state of affairs and the desired state of affairs. So whenever you will get, and there are many examples in which you will get a difference between what you actually want and what is the actual situation on the ground, you have got a problem. So when a public has got a problem and the governments, they respond to that, they react to that by taking certain actions in the form of legislation, in the form of organizing different programs, or in the form of allocating finances, or not doing that, simply not doing that, that also constitutes a policy. So this is a very broad, comprehensive, yet concise definition of public policy. Let me show you sort of a cartoon which will make you understand, and I'll go to that in a moment. Yes, see this one. So here you can see the Secretary of Health, and he has got a band around his eyes so he can't see, and he's throwing dots at sort of a board on which you can see different things. So the dots have hit different options. And you can see some dots have hit mask mandatory, some have hit quarantine 14 days and quarantine 10 days. This very much depicts the policy making in practicality as well, because many times you don't know what are going to be the anticipated thing, or what's gonna the future unfold. So in that particular case, you don't actually, so you think on the basis of certain, I'll just stop here for a moment. So just to summarize the whole definition, public policy is a course of action. So it's a cycle of different actions, which could be legislation, which could be organization, which could be programming by the governments in response to certain public problems. And I told you that the problems is basically a discrepancy between the actual and desired state of affairs. So that is policy, public policy. Now, what is the process? How this whole process carries on? Let's move on and talk about that. So the policy process, as we call it, is the process by which the policy is made. Now, in this particular lecture, I'm not going to go into the models of policy making, which are different, like you have got the incremental model, you have got the rational scientific model, you've got some other models as well. I'm just going to go through the process. So the process of policy making is that when you are confronted with a problem, with a public problem, then you look for the answers or for the solutions. And usually the solutions are many. So you have got choices. You've got choice A, you've got choice B, you've got choice C, and you've got choice D. And they are all moving towards the solution to your problems. So you actually weigh all your choices. You try to get the best value for your money or for your time. So different choices are weighed, And based on those choices, then you take the actions. As I told you, these actions could be in the form of legislation, it could be in the form of organization, it could be in the form of programming. Normally, when we talk about policy making, you might this sort of a picture comes into your mind where, let's say, a minister or the prime minister or a president of a country is signing a document and says, well, this is what the policy. Now, this is just one part of that, of the whole process. As I told you, the process is, first of all, looking into choices. Then, based on those choices, you select your course of action. And based on that actions, once you put those actions into practice, you will get certain outcomes. So what you have attained, that would be your outcome. And what results it can have, or overall on the society, overall on the, what would be the larger picture, that is your impact. And again, when you have reached that, you would look back and see whether those choices were appropriate or not. So if they were appropriate, you will continue with that. If not, you will come back to the first part, and you look again into the choices, and you might try to change those, might try to bring something new. So this is a circular process, a cyclical process in which you've got choices. Those choices are put into actions, and the actions have got consequences. Those actions would have certain outcomes, outcomes, and impact. And you look at the impacts, and then you would see whether your policy choices have worked or not, whether the problem was solved or not. So if it was solved, well and good, you will continue with that. If not, you will come back and you will revisit your policy choices, and you might change them. So in most of the cases, there are different models of policy making. You can have the scientific rational model, in which you weigh every option scientifically, looking at the pros and cons, and then you select the one which gives you the best value for your money or for your time. Or you can have the incremental model, where you've got an existing policy and you just change it in small increments. It's more practical. But sometimes, where the future is not very much obvious, when you are confronted with new problems, where there is a lot of uncertainty, then policy making becomes a gamble process as well. For example, the best example is this COVID-19 pandemic. A new pandemic hits the world. Nobody knows the exact dynamics of this new illness. People are learning as they go through this pandemic. So different things are learned. And as things are learned, choices are made, and those choices are again changed after you learn something new. Why? Because this is a new thing. We don't have like complete, concrete information about this new thing. So we are slowly moving like from the unknown to the known. And in that, we would change the choices. A few days back, I saw a cartoon in one of the newspapers, and that very much defines this uncertainty and how policy making becomes a gamble. And I will show you in a moment. If you look at this diagram, you see this is Mr. Matt Hancock, who is the Secretary of Health here in the UK. And as you can see that he is blindly throwing darts at a pole, which is sitting at different parts. And this is exactly how the policy has been changing in the last 1 year. Like, we started with lockdowns, and then semi-lockdowns, and then masks, and the quarantine of 14 days, and now 10 days, and hand washing, and different things which have been changing very rapidly. Why they are rapidly? Because we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. So when there is a lot of uncertainty, where we cannot define what actually do we want to achieve, and when things are moving at a rapid pace, then policy making is more of a gamble process as well. And you can see in this diagram that they say a picture portrays 1,000 words, and you can see how it becomes a gamble process, policy making, when you've got uncertainty. So I will stop here, and because in this short video, I just wanted you to know what is the definition of public policy, and what is the overall broader process of policy making, and how Policy making becomes a gamble when you have got a lot of uncertainties. I hope you have understood some of the very basic terms in public policy making. If you have got any questions, just put it down in the comment section below. If you are watching my videos and if you like them, just press the like button and also subscribe to my channel. And if you like these videos, share it with your friends. Have a good day. Bye-bye.